Do you ever feel like your brain has about 100 tabs open? I saw a quote somewhere that said, "The brain is brilliant when it comes to coming up with ideas, but terrible when it comes to storing them." You ever see that scene in SpongeBob where he's inside of his brain and all of the little SpongeBobs are scrambling to remember what his name is, and then eventually everything ends up bursting into flames? Yeah. That's how my brain feels sometimes. And whenever my brain gets all full and jumbled, I have a tough time knowing what to do next. And I end up with 100,000 tabs open all at once. How do I clear that out? How do I exit out, swipe away, or delete unnecessary tabs? I will either have a ton of ideas all at once, or I will be trying to write and just end up staring off into space. I've got 100 things on my mind. I got this little keyboard the other day. My goal is to record my own music for these videos. I was worried about doing that for a second though, because I wanted it to be worth the money. I bought this keyboard for 50 bucks, which is relatively inexpensive for something like this, but it still eats at me. And in buying this thing, $50 one time, I save $120 every year on Epidemic Sound. Now, Epidemic is great, don't get me wrong. It's totally worth it. I don't want to keep having to spend hours and hours and hours of my time, my video making time, trying to search for music. When instead, I could learn a skill and make my own music exactly the way I want it. Now, what does that have to do with writing? Owning a car is another worry of mine. It costs so much money. You've got gas, oil, repairs, etc. And I don't even want to think about buying a new car one day. More money, more expense. Okay, what does this have anything to do with writing? As a general rule, I try to be a worry-free person. Now obviously that's not always realistic, but that's my goal. And moving away from home, changing up my entire life all at once, doesn't really help that. And when I moved, I knew I was going to have a lot to do, a lot to change. I know this is very clear to me, but I don't think I was really prepared. I don't think I was ready for it. But then again, I don't know if one is ever ready for such a big change. In the middle of such a big change, I tend to think of everything all at once. Everything I need to do, and everything that still needs done. Opening up tab after tab. But if I just sit and think about it, it isn't all too bad. All the things I have to do are pretty digestible. That is, until I keep thinking. The more I sit and think, the more I think of. And the more I think of, the more my brain begins to fill up. And not too long after that, my brain comes to a stop. My brain stops, and I stare off. I stare off to try and calm my mind, to try and give it a break. And then, as a result of my brain becoming full, becoming jumbled, I sit down to write my new video. What's this new one about? I don't know. What story do I tell this week? Do I even feel creative today? What about the car? What about the job? What about the money? You know, you would think that having a lot on my mind would make it really easy to write. Because there's so much up there, there's so much going on in my brain that I could just start spilling it onto a page and make something. A lot on my mind, a lot to write. Makes sense, right? I would think that having a lot on my mind would inspire writing. In that, I am wrong. I have all these mental tabs open. Dozens, hundreds, thousands, well, maybe not thousands, of things, and none are about writing. In order to write, to make this video, I need to close out a few tabs. But how? How does my desk get so messy? I'm generally a pretty messy guy. Just kind of leaving stuff out. A lot going on in my brain. No time to tidy. Maybe I need to make time. I need to write down a to-do list. Gotta make sure I get this desk nice and tidy. Especially with the keyboard coming into the fold. It seems that once I've written this list down, I feel a bit better. I feel a bit better about all the things that I need to get done. If something is on my mind, if something is bothering me, if that thing is taking me away from the moment, I need to get rid of it. And the way I have found to do this, to get rid of the thing that's on my mind, at least for a little while, to close the tabs in my mind, I need to write them down. To fix the thing that's keeping me from writing, I need to write. By writing things down that weigh on my mind, I acknowledge them. I put them down, I see them written out, and I allow them to exist somewhere other than my brain. The reason I can't write, despite my brain being completely full, is because I don't have any room in my brain for new ideas. In order to come up with new ideas, I must first clear out some space. And the way that I clear up this space is writing. By writing down the things that are on my mind, the things that weigh me down, or simply a song that's stuck in my head, I am allowed to forget that thing for a while. If an idea is written down and I forget it, that's totally fine, because I can refer back to it at any given moment. And with a free mind, a clean slate, a fresh palette for ideas, I can officially start writing. I write to remember. I also write to forget. But most importantly, I write so that I'm able to continue writing.